world, it is Sheila. Let's talk about FI. my favorite subject. So FI is very confusing for a lot of people. And I think the reason, well, one reason it can be very confusing for people is because FI is your values, your belief system, your core identity. So across the board, FI is going to look so different from user to user, depending on their belief system, depending on their values. So no two FI users are going to look the same when it comes to, their identity. I mean, we are our own unique individual, and FI is very much that unique. I'm my own person, I'm my own authority, and all that is tied into, your identity. And when it's your lead function, you're very aware of it, it's very strong. Even if it's masculine or feminine, you're just very aware of it. The biggest difference between the masculine and the feminine FI is the masculine FI is not going to be swayed as easily as the feminine FI. My values are not swayed by the outside world at all. I mean, if somebody, even if I love this person and respect this person and they have this value, I'm not going to change mine unless I want to change mine. It's like throughout the years, yes, some of my beliefs and values have changed. Not a lot. They have pretty much have stayed centered when it comes to change. Like, I say this is the center of my FI. I might have gone a little left, a little right, and not, as in political. I'm just, talking the sensory. Let's veer a little here, come back, veer. It's like I stay pretty much centered for my values. And I think throughout the years, I've taken in information or life experiences have happened that have opened my eyes to some of my beliefs. And, they might have changed a little here, they might have changed a little there. But overall, they're pretty solid, very solid. And I don't like talking about my values very often, but here I sit under one of my values, and it's like I like to be subtle about things. I like to just let my actions speak for them, and subtle. I'm not in your face cramming my beliefs down your throat. I find that very offensive, and the wrong way about going about changing people's minds. Nobody likes to be stiff-armed into changing their values or beliefs, and it has the complete opposite effect on me. If somebody's trying to bully me into speaking a certain way that I don't feel comfortable with sharing, I am just going to be even more tight-lipped than ever. And it's not because I don't believe a certain thing. I could even believe the same thing they're believing, but don't tell me what I should do or say. It needs to be authentic to me. Like I know on Instagram, so many influencers got bullied into posting certain things that the rest of the tribe thought that you should post. And being quiet doesn't mean we don't hold your value. It doesn't mean we don't believe a certain thing. It's like we just want to be authentic to ourselves and speak when we want to speak up, or we let our actions, speak for us. Because I believe, and I don't know if this is my SE over my TE, that is just why I feel this way, but I believe, actions do speak louder than words, and I'm going to either put my money in a belief system of mine or my time that I donate, because yes, words can be great, but I don't know. I feel like actions do speak louder than words. And I sat back and watched the whole Instagram play out, and I was quiet about it. I didn't post anything that day. I just kept quiet. But my quiet doesn't mean I'm compliant one way or the other. So for people to assume that too, that's frustrating. And I just feel like if you want to speak out about your values as an FI user, or even if you don't, your TI or whatever identity you have, because we all have an identity, then that's lovely. Go do what you want to do. Say what you want to say, but don't bully the other people. It's not a pretty thing. And so you're going to see a lot of FI users out there being very, very open about their beliefs. And you're going to see a lot of FI people that are very quiet about their beliefs. And I don't know if it's because if it's paired with another function or an animal. Like I have Blast Last, and I have the hardest time articulating exactly how I feel and think sometimes. I know it, and I know it well inside my mind and my heart, but I have a hard time putting it out in reality, and the words just always feel more 2D than 3D that were in my brain. So I always feel like I'm going to say the wrong thing, and I do often. I stick my foot in my mouth so much, and the way it comes out, I'm like, that's not how I meant it to sound. And so the Blast Last just really is a struggle. And I think, people that might not have that Blast Last and FI Saviors, they're going to just articulate so much more clearly and effectively, and I can't. And so I'm one to keep quiet a lot about my values. Two reasons. Because one, my values are my values. I don't care to share them with the world because they're mine. They're me. They're my identity. And two, because I think over the years when I have voiced them and put them out there for the world to see and hear, they've gotten eaten up and smashed and crushed by the outside world. And because I'm that feminine TE, I have a hard time, just fighting back with the words. And so I've just kind of like go back into myself and keep my values safe in my little FI box, and just pet them nicely. Oh, nice values, and so if I'm sitting in a group of people and things are getting uncomfortable and people are really outspoken about a belief system or a value, I'm usually the one that's just kind of sitting there smiling, maybe nodding my head, but not in agreement, but just like trying to just tread that water and keep my head above the water without getting pulled down or without, you know, getting out of the water and, you know, running away. So it's just like, I'm just lying there on my back, treading the water, I think. And people might look at me like that's being complacent and compliant and not having a backbone. But if you want to sit and poke at that and really see where I lie with my values, I will come out. My masculine FI will come out and let you know. But it's got to be just sit and poked and poked and poked till I get to that breaking point. And so I wonder also if the feminine or the feminine FIs are going to look a little different because they're punching with that masculine TE, even though it's at the bottom. They're gonna be a little more punchy up front, and when you sit and poke and poke and poke at them, you'll see them crumble a little bit more. You know, they're gonna backslide a little bit more, backstep, or be like, you know, you'll see that interior just not as strong. Where somebody with the masculine, if you poke, 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 they're going to come at you harder. So most people don't poke me enough to get me really going. And maybe it's because I just feel so secure in my belief system and my values that I don't need to express them, because one, I don't want to, you know, change other people's minds. In a sense, I mean, yes, I would love for people to believe certain things that I believe, but I would rather just lead by example and set a good example by my actions instead of my words. So yeah, if you're outspoken about your values, why do you think you do that? Or if you're really quiet about your values, why do you think you do that? Is it because the outside world has eaten you up? Or is it just you don't think it's anyone else's right to know? Or do people just not ask you? Yeah, just curious about other people's FI. It's a beautiful thing, but it can also be pretty overbearing, depending. All right, have a great day. Bye.